Okay, we're here with a little bit of a different tier list. It's much more situational, but we're going to be talking about Achievement of the Week event over on retroachievements.com, in which you get a kind of voted on game for each week, and they grab a kind of realistic achievement from the set over there of that game, which will then be put and you have to collect it before the week is up. And there's also the monthly thing, which for the month of January was this one, which we'll get to in a little bit. But this event is really nice to join in. You don't need to score all of the points, so you can still hop in and get some fun if you're brand new to it. Plus, it explores some lesser known games in general. I do have the list pulled up because I don't always remember the name of the game, but we're gonna just go from week to week to week to week, and then we'll talk about the monthly, and then we'll come back in next month, which we'll talk about February, and so on until the very end of the year and the event. But overall, I've enjoyed this event decently. Some of the games have been really, really bad, but that's mostly just with just how they are, and overall I'm surprised they got voted in. But being a voting system, sometimes you do get paired with very lackluster experiences. But we're gonna make this quick. We're not gonna hold on too much to that. We have SABCD, which most of these are never going to reach as A or even B. It's very mixed. But we have the first one, which was basically complete the game or beat the game on adventure mode for Action Man Robot Attack. The achievement name being Adventure Man Action Force Victory, which, okay, not a very good name, but overall, this game was okay. It's a run and gun type game. If you played like Contra, for instance, it's just a GBA, more simplistic version of that. Less difficulty and much more just sprite-filled GBA mess. It feels very phoned in as a game, and the achievement, it just had you go through the game, which took about an hour. Overall, not a very bad play for achievement of the week. It's not like gonna hurt me. It's not that bad of an adventure, but when it comes to the vote-ins, you'll see a type of pattern kind of be apparent with these, which is also what happens with Metal Slug 5. This was clear final mission in arcade mode, and this one was, depending on how good you are, it's a harder game, but it's also almost unlimited continues, I think. And while the game is better, it is shorter, so I don't really know what to say. Like, it was really short. It didn't really feel like I was fulfilling much for achievement of the week. It was much more of just like, oh, I'll just do this in a half hour. It wasn't that fun. I do think it's a better game overall, so I'll put it higher. But yeah, nothing too spectacular on that front. I do think Metal Slug 5 is okay at best, but it's just... It was not a noteworthy experience. I do want to point out before I continue, I play all this on hardcore because you have to for the event, which means there's no save states, there's no cheats, there's no slowdown, rewind, or any of that. So some of these do get pretty brutal, which kind of goes into the next one. I'm not very good at Tetris Attack, which Penaled Upon is kind of like that. I guess it is almost exactly like that in certain departments. It's clear versus mode, which you could do any difficulty, which I ended up doing on, I think, normal, I think it was, or whichever one is after the easiest one. I don't know if it's like hard or anything like that. Don't know. But the game is good. And in fact, I do think the achievement, while being difficult at the very end, a lot of the early levels I think were fun and engaging, and more importantly weren't like too brutally like hard where it was like, oh, I just can't get this. It was a nice like kind of built-in, which is, you know, the game itself, but at the same time I do feel that it was a really good experience to have, being that it was, you know, it took me about 2 hours. I was very slow on this. I'm not very good at Tetris Attack, but I am better at the other Falling Block puzzle game, which we'll talk about here, and I happen to think that it's a better game, at least the SNES version. But the Game Boy version for Kirby Star Stacker, which I've talked about before on this channel, is good. It's just serviceable. It's very slow though, and that's what kind of made this achievement very irritating, is that you're only supposed to complete all 16 levels of round clear mode on very hard difficulty, which is not that hard at all. You get unlimited continues. It's only 16 levels. It's titled Expert Stacker, which cool, but it's very, very weak. It's not very fun. It's not a good showcase of the game itself. The game is good for the Game Boy, but being that this is, for an event, I don't want to be there for 2 hours because of how slow the game is, not because it's hard or because it's difficult. Like with Penal de Pon, the last 3 levels kicked my ass for about an hour. And I sat there for 2 hours. This one I sat here for like an hour and a half, if we're being honest. 90 minutes, just because of how slow the animation was and getting used to how the Game Boy feels. Which then goes into the achievement of the month, which is part of the same event. These give you special tokens that you can trade in for special stuff, and they're much more gonna take 5 to 6 hours in your month span to finish. And this one was on a game that I don't despise, but I don't exactly like. That's Chibi Robo. Chibi Robo is a game for the GameCube that is pretty well established as being like a cult classic, at least back in the day, and now it's come around to being much more favorable as being like a good game. A lot of people know it, a lot of people love it. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't really like the first Chibi Robo. I like a couple of the other weird ones, specifically the DS one. I think it's actually much more worthwhile, but this one was titled, I don't know why I closed it, No Time to Lose. Give Mr. Sanderson the love letter. This is a progression achievement in the set, which I don't think you actually have to do it to beat the game, or maybe you do. I don't know enough about Chibi Robo. It's been a long time since I beat it, and I only turned it on to go through the set until I got this achievement. This one took me about 5 hours, maybe a little bit longer. I was pretty bored during the kind of middle part because I'm just waiting for events to occur, and I don't want to say I hate Chibi Robo like as much as the other games, like in general, but it's one of those things where it does not make me fulfilled. It does not make me happy that I wasted 5 hours on this achievement. Which has to do with the game a lot, but it's still a decent experience. Mostly a very mid-month, if we're going to be honest. We'll talk about next month, which we're in the middle of, how some of these achievements can be really, really bad. And I do mean really, really awful. But that'll be next month. This is just a quick overview of it. If you haven't gotten the chance, be sure to check out events on RA. In general, I'll post a link to the events forum so you can see what's going on. And the achievement of the week event is still going on. You could still go and get some rewards, and you can still at least try it out. We are only on week 7, which just started literally today. And you can quickly grab that, and you've only missed 6 weeks. It's not too bad to catch up and enjoy stuff. And you can also get the achievement of the month, which for this one is Diddy Kong's Adventure, right? Or Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy Kong's Quest. That's what it is. I always forget the name for some reason, but that one's for the achievement of the month. Much more worthy of a achievement of the month for a game anyway. But overall, that's going to be it for right now. I think we're about at the mid tier, and hopefully this event gets better because February wasn't as good, or at least so far, but that'll be next month.